right. Well, let's get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your continued support and advocacy for the University of Illinois system. As important conversations continue in Springfield around higher education funding and policy, your engagement and voice truly matter. Today's town hall is an opportunity to provide an update on state priorities, including updates on critical legislation, share where things stand, and discuss how we can continue advocating for a strong future for the University of Illinois system. As we talk today, links and information will be shared in the Q&A section of this team's webinar, so please take a look at that. And further ado, we are very grateful today to have the 20th president of the University of Illinois system, Tim Killeen, with us today. President Killeen has been at U of I since 2015, bringing more than 3 decades of experience as an educator, and has been a strong champion for our universities, our students, and the state of Illinois. We appreciate his leadership during this important time. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce President Tim Killeen. President Killeen?
Thank you, Jennifer. I hope you can all hear me well. Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to you all. I'm ecstatic to see quite how many people are taking part in this town hall, something that now has become a regular feature of our calendar and our efforts to connect with you and listen to alumni and our friends across the state. So thank you for joining and your interest. That so many of you are taking the time to be part of this tells me how much you value your University of Illinois system and that you understand that we are a real asset for Illinois. I suspect all of you as well understand that, like all of us in higher education, we face challenges right now as we work to continue to deliver for our state. It's fair to say that there's been quite a bit to navigate over the past year or so for all of us in higher education. And these include changes in priorities and policies in Washington that are a serious concern for a variety of things that are important to us, including, of course, centrally funding for our students and for research. But I want to assure you right up front that we are strong, we're intact, and we're delivering on our mission of higher education for the state of Illinois. Here in the state, we continue to enjoy a strong partnership with bipartisan elected leaders in Springfield, and they have committed to continue to invest in higher education in recent years and into the future. But budget constraints and financial adjustments needed to make up for losses in federal funding have put increases for higher education funding at risk, undoubtedly. And legislation that seeks to change the way public universities in our state are funded could put us at a financial disadvantage for years. We'll talk more about that soon. In our long history, though, we've learned a few things about resilience. That means we continue to work effectively on behalf of the public good, to educate the students of our state, to improve the health of Illinoisans, to leverage our long history of research and innovation to help power our economy, and we're continuing to do all of that with vibrant purpose. We will, with your support, find ways to continue to do so into the future. So let's talk about why the bread and butter of what we do matters so much now more than ever. I start with student enrollment, of course, as usual. Enrollment and access to the world-class education we offer are fundamental, as much as anything, and they're why we were created and why we are still here. But enrollment and access are challenged now by those who have concerns about the value of a college education, by the demographic cliff that is reducing the national population of young people who might become college students, by federal policy shifts that have made the path to our campuses for some undergraduate, graduate, and international students more difficult. But the comprehensive education we offer provides skills for a modern, great career and so much more. And just look at the number, an all-time high. Our students build connections that will last a lifetime. They develop the tools of citizenship, as well as a learned sense of responsibility to those around them and the places they live. Community responsibility. Our students and their families continue to tell us they believe in what we offer. Strong public trust in what we offer. Applications reached a new record high this year, and our enrollment topped 6 figures for the first time. More, as you see, than 101,000 students. We owe so much of our continued enrollment strength to our world-class, wonderful faculty and staff. They are, without doubt, the reason that we are a destination for so many from Illinois and around the world. And we see those numbers increasing continuously. And our staff across the whole system, supporting students and faculty, truly make our enterprise work. Working with our faculty, they are among the major reasons that our student retention and graduation rates are both significantly above national norms. So we have success in our bone marrow for our students. Last year and again this year, we awarded more than 28,000 degrees, more than ever before. About 3/4 of these well-educated, hardworking people choose to stay in the state of Illinois. So we're retaining that talent. They are the next generation of doctors, lawyers, teachers, entrepreneurs, artists, musicians, farmers, scientists, you name it. They are the people who will serve as the foundation for a vibrant society. A large number of the members of the General Assembly and the Illinois congressional delegation are U of I system alumni, and we have the largest caucus in Springfield. So access to that education has been and remains vital for our mission in Illinois. And we will work to build access through keeping tuition increases to a minimum and freezing tuition whenever possible, as our Board of Trustees has done over most of the past decade. Free tuition programs for qualifying students whose families make $75,000 or less are now offered by each of our three universities, slight differentials across the three universities. And our own financial aid commitment institutionally is now just short of $300 million a year. So we're committed to affordability and access to this world-class education. Our work in Springfield and in Washington, D.C. to encourage strong state and federal commitments to financial support for our students continues. We advocate, I would say, shamelessly for our students so that they can have the financial resources to access this world-class educational opportunity and stay and build the economy and the civic connectivity in the state of Illinois. Our financial aid commitment, combined with state and federal aid, means that 41% of our in-state undergraduates pay no tuition or fees, and 2/3 pay less than the full price. And we continue to work to make sure that students know that our universities are an option for them. Please spread that word. Our enrollment comes from virtually every Illinois county, and we continue our efforts to mirror the demographics of our state and penetrate and grow our underserved populations, including first-generation and low-income students. Fully 1/3 of our undergraduates, in fact, are from underrepresented groups, and that number has grown. And this year we had strong system-wide increases in both Black and Hispanic enrollment, up by 10% and 9% respectively. So we're continuing to work hard to reflect the population of our state. This system of three universities, great universities, and so much more was built to serve Illinoisans from across our whole state and from every background, and we remain committed to that. If education is the core of our mission, research and scholarship stand right beside it. These are areas where new federal challenges demand a great deal of our attention. Dozens of awards across the U of I system have been canceled in the last year, but even against that tide, we remain a strong research powerhouse because of our renowned universities, Research One universities in Urbana-Champaign and Chicago, topping $1 billion a year in research continuously. Springfield, by the way, is enjoying its own new status in a tier of primarily smaller universities that also conduct research. And so even in this challenging landscape, our world-class faculty and our long track record of innovation continue to earn federal support. For instance, examples, a $30 million grant at UIC to transform promising medical and health discoveries into prevention strategies and treatments that make patients faster has been reviewed for another 7 years. Medicine campaigns, Molecule Maker Institute has come in. Ship priorities continue to be driven by the needs of the people of Illinois. That means continuing to focus on better healthcare, on stronger communities, on a robust economy, on productive and sustainable agriculture, and a rich and vibrant culture of arts and humanities that helps us understand and have joy in our world. Let me say just a quick word here on behalf of not just the amazing research that happens across the U of I system, but all of American research. This country's system of higher education and the powerful world-changing research conducted are vital pieces of an incredible infrastructure built up for our country over many decades. That infrastructure is to an incredible degree the basis for the prosperous economy that we've enjoyed so long. It is our superpower. In a challenging time, we must declare this, and we must find ways to protect and nurture this infrastructure and see it into the future. And we'll play our role in that. Our ability to serve as a convener for the best people and the brightest ideas in the world remains a pillar of our mission and a real strength of the U of I system. The reality is that the challenges we face do not end at a border or a state line. That includes building a sustainable economy, feeding and providing healthcare for a growing population, building resiliency against the threat of extreme weather, and making certain approaches that all of our challenges with humanity and equity in mind and centrally in our mind. Solutions and opportunities lie in collaboration across borders and across disciplines, and we're going to exhibit that commitment to explore across borders and disciplines for solutions for society. Last summer, for example, we brought the Sustainability Research and Innovation Congress, the International Congress, to Chicago. SRI is the world's largest annual gathering focused on building a sustainable, inclusive future. And before 2025, when it came to Chicago, it had never been held in the United States. Scientists, policymakers, funders, business leaders, and change makers from all over the world gathered with us to advance solutions related to climate, human resilience, and in all of it, equity, that is, leaving nobody behind, no communities behind. IQMP, which we're managing and co-leading, is another great example, the Illinois Quantum and Microelectronics Park that you see exhibited in the slide. You can see what's planned there in the slide. Soon the first building, which is up and running, will be open for business. The IQMP team includes the state of Illinois, the research universities in Chicago, including UIC, and both Argonne and Fermi National Labs. So it's a consultation of across these amazing institutions in Chicago, all working together for Illinois' future. And IQMP will host a global quantum forum in July in Chicago this year, and more events are being planned for the fall. So powering Illinois also means seeing demand and meeting it. You almost certainly know about our established engineering programs in Urbana-Champaign and Chicago. Next year, UIS in Springfield will be launching a new engineering technology degree designed to meet the growing need for professionals who combine engineering knowledge with the skills needed for modern manufacturing and emerging technology industries. So we're flowing into the needs, the employment needs of the next decades. So as we think about what's ahead, most immediate on our radar are two things related to our ability to serve the people who count on us. One, we're in the middle of a budget season and await word on what we hope will be a continuation of the reinvestment Governor Pritzker has made in public higher education ever since he took office. Second, we continue to oppose the current legislation that would change the way public universities are funded in Illinois. We support equitable funding for all universities. It's important, which this bill seeks to provide, but the bill would significantly reduce the U of I system's share of the funding, of new funding for 10 years. And that will wind up costing our students and families more money and weaken our university system, the system that Illinois relies on to educate more than half of its public university students and to provide healthcare to many Chicagoans and power the economy through things like IQMP and the many other initiatives that only we can really provide. Executive Vice President Jones will talk more about this during the Q&A to this town hall meeting. Beyond these two immediate issues, the digital revolution, the transformation of our economy, and the need to help build a sustainable economy for Illinois for the decades ahead remain among our top priorities. And I will add one more. In the process of all that we can do, we need to show the next generation, the youth, that we can build and they can adapt and be part of the kind of future they want. Right now, amid uncertainty and understandable questions about the future, our youth, our young people need to understand and have reason to believe that they are inheriting a society and a world that can sustain them, a place and a community of people in which they can thrive economically, but also culturally and in community. This is our mission too. Part of that is harnessing the innovative capacity of fast-moving technological transformation now happening to serve an inclusive sustainability agenda. Another is harnessing the power of music, art, literature, history, the full range of the arts, humanities, and design to help them understand their world, both where we have been and where we can go. I believe it is our responsibility to help the youth, the next generation, understand and embrace what is possible in their future. And the University of Illinois system has to be at the forefront of that. Our leadership matters, harnessing the technologies, inspiring the youth, providing opportunities for contributions in society that are inclusive and important. And we cannot do this without all of you. And we're grateful and we need your ongoing support. Your voices are very powerful. You can have a real impact by staying informed about the issues that affect higher education and the U of I system, and then speaking up to make sure decision makers know just how important the entire system is to our state, its economy, and its future. So if you haven't already, I would love it if you would sign up for Illinois Connection. You can get more information and sign up using the QR code that you see here. Illinois Connection is a membership group for all of those who care about the University of Illinois system, alumni, faculty, staff, and our other friends. When you join, we'll keep you informed with timely news updates. And when we need you most, we will email you to let you know when, where, and how you can lend your voices to our advocacy campaigns. Thank you for listening to me. And now Executive Vice President Jones and I look forward to answering some of the questions you submitted. So back to you, Jennifer.
Well, thank you, President Killeen, for that great presentation. Yes, and thank you for all of your leadership and for sharing those remarks and updates for everyone today. So next, yes, we would like to introduce Executive Vice President and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Nick Jones. He has been leading much of the university's work on many of these ongoing issues and will be here to help answer our questions. So now we will move into the Q&A discussion. We've had some great questions submitted, and we will do our best to get through as many as we can during the remaining time. So the first question is for you, President Killeen. What actions is the University of Illinois system taking and will take to elevate public engagement as a core priority, rebuild public trust in higher education, and strengthen our advocacy within the state?
Well, that's a great and timely question. It is true to say that in our sector, the sector of higher education, public trust has seemingly eroded over the last decades, and we need to take some responsibility for that. It turns out that public trust in the University of Illinois system seems to be a bit of an outlier because our surveys show that we're enhancing public trust in what we do, certainly in the citizenry of Illinois. And I think it's because of some of the things I mentioned, affordability, access, world-class educational opportunities, participation in civic society. Our students get placed in good jobs, and we know that those jobs pay off. But we need to work hard to earn public trust every day. We can't assume, we can't be complacent, and we need to show up more effectively and show and demonstrate to Illinoisans in their communities the direct value that we provide to their lives, their communities, and to the economy. So it's on us to do that and to improve where we can and where we should and where we must. First of all, I would point out that our growing enrollment certainly is evidence that Illinois students and families believe in the value of the education we offer. All-time high applications, all-time high enrollments, but we've got more work to do. I recently actually wrote about this issue of public trust in Forbes magazine and suggested there are 5 ways that universities like ours can work to regain trust, and we're committed to these 5 things. Number one, working to keep college affordable and accessible, making sure people understand affordability and accessibility. Number two, delivering tangible economic benefit for your state, for public universities, and career impact for students. Number three, showing up. May sound simple, but listening to communities. And for example, we have an annual state leadership tour where the senior leadership goes all around the state, and we listen carefully to what the needs are of the communities, and whenever possible, we try to address them directly. Even with high school students, middle school students, etc., not just limited to recruiting students who might want to come to the U of I. Number four, forging partnerships that solve real problems. For example, UIC works with the full stack economy to train workers for high demand technology jobs. That's a real problem. Well, the kind of workforce that's needed for these high technology jobs that are in demand. System partnering with companies like Rivian and Heartland Community College to help prepare a workforce for clean energy and electric vehicle manufacturing. These are important challenges. We need to flow into them and provide the human capital to do that. And the last one was to kind of reimagine how higher education serves society. Yes, we're a land grant. We need to lift society, but the complexity of the modern economy has changed. We need to adapt and flow into it to make sure that we're accommodating our programs, our degree programs, our curricula to the needs of our times. So I think we've got to do all of the above. And we do try to do it through town halls like this, through alumni outreach, through legislative engagement, to business partnerships, and more direct communication with communities. So we know that we need to work hard to establish, retain public trust and confidence in higher education. And we need to do advocacy within the state. And that's why we're talking the way we are about bills and opportunities and engagement with decision makers of all types. So advocacy is no longer optional for higher education. We need to roll up our sleeves and get to work and demonstrate the value proposition to people, and not just people who may be alumni, but the citizenry of our great state. Long-winded answer, I'm sorry.
No, thank you, President Killeen. I know you just mentioned some legislation. Nick, the next question is for you. You've been working a lot on this, and there's a lot of concern in the Capitol about the proposed legislation to establish an adequate and equitable funding formula for the Illinois public universities. What does that mean for the U of I system?
Well, thanks, Jennifer, and that is certainly a question that is top of mind for us, for sure. First, and just as a threshold, I should say that we believe that we need more funding for higher education in the state of Illinois, and we would love to ensure that that funding is equitably distributed across all of our institutions of public higher education. Our concern is that the legislation, as it's currently crafted, just simply won't achieve these goals. Among other things, it significantly reduces the share of any new funding that will come to the University of Illinois universities for more than a decade, which ultimately will shift more costs onto students and their families. It would also lower investment in the U of I system universities that educate more than half of all students enrolled in public higher education in the state of Illinois. In so doing, it would really limit our ability to provide the far-reaching economic and service initiatives and outcomes that have been long-standing commitments and are unique to the University of Illinois' mission. Under the current scenarios that we have seen associated with the legislation, both the University of Illinois at Chicago and the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign actually move further away from adequacy over time. This is an outcome that just makes no sense in any way and makes it very difficult for us to believe that the outcomes that this approach is suggesting make any sense. UIC, for example, serves the largest number of underrepresented minority students and Pell eligible students in Illinois public higher education. That's a big deal. It still remains significantly below adequacy, and in fact, the adequacy gap increases over time, even after a decade of funding. Ultimately, we hope that lawmakers will set this legislation aside and work collaboratively with all universities on a sustainable model that strengthens all of higher education in the state of Illinois. We believe we can support regional universities without weakening the institutions that serve as the state's primary economic and research engines. We continue to work constructively with legislators toward a more balanced, transparent, stable, and outcomes-driven approach that strengthens the entire higher education ecosystem.
Thank you, Nick. I know it's important work. Thank you for your leadership on that. This next question, I believe, can go to both of you. Given recent efforts in some states to restrict or roll back DEI initiatives, what are your plans for continuing to increase the diversity of our student body and support an inclusive campus climate across the U of I system?
Thanks for that question. Let me just start by saying that we celebrate diversity in all of its forms: urban, rural, ethnic backgrounds, international participation. We have amazingly strong, diverse bodies of students and so forth. And as I pointed out in my opening remarks, that has grown over time as we become more reflective of the Illinois population. And all of these students are meritorious. They want to come to university, they want to succeed. And so we need to work hard to make sure that everybody has a chance, not just a chance, but the access to be successful. And every individual has a different path to that future. Some people need more resources, more support in certain things. So we're going to be fair and supportive of all of our students. So we're committed to that. And of course, the welcoming nature of our campuses are incredibly important, and we work really hard to do that to ensure that students don't feel alone or alienated, but they can participate in these communities. So all of those things, I think, are manifested in how we think about the world, and we've made progress in all of that. But we're law-abiding too, so we're going to follow. We're not going to do anything that could be imagined to be illegal. And so if the Supreme Court comes forward with a statement that says racial preferences are not allowed in admissions, we follow that, and we have been following that all along pretty much. So we're adjusting with the revisions to the laws that are coming at us. And we've had to change some of the language on our websites, frankly, but our commitments remain, and our programs remain, and our staff remains looking after the student experience. So, and despite the headwinds that you might imagine from this change in language from the federal government, diversity on our campuses has continued to increase, and we're very proud of that, and we celebrate that, and we're going to continue that into the future. As I mentioned, Black enrollment was up 10% last year, and Latino enrollment was up 9% last year, continuing progress to make sure that we have meritorious students who are embraced at our university, that succeed and go on and participate in civil society. That's our job. So, when we think about our strategic framework, it's kind of like about the student experience. It's not the economy stupid for us, it's the student stupid for us. And so our focus is on the student experience and making sure that we have wide open doors. And when young people, mostly young people, but non-traditional learners join us, they are equipped and supported for full-blown success. And we're going to continue on that path. Nick might want to elaborate a little bit.
Sure, thanks, Tim. I would just really reiterate that. I mean, this is in our DNA. It is our mission, and we are a very mission-driven organization. Our responsibility to the state of Illinois is to be representative. We need to make sure doors are open to everyone. We need to acknowledge that people coming from different backgrounds, whether they are first-generation students or students from socioeconomically challenged regions all have the opportunity to succeed at our three universities. We've made a great deal of progress. When we talk about numbers like 23,400 students who are Pell Grant recipients and almost 20,000 first-generation college students, we're making great progress in providing a world-class education across the state of Illinois. But we'll acknowledge that there is more to do, and we remain absolutely committed to doing that in a manner that, as the president indicated, is consistent with all state and federal laws, but actually absolutely driven to ensure that our student body, and for that matter, our faculty and staff representation, is inclusive of all people in the state.
Thank you, Nick. To kind of build on that, Nick, I think you could take this next question. As the higher education landscape shifts with more adult, part-time, and online learners looking for flexible options, how is the University of Illinois system preparing to stay competitive and meet those changing needs?
Oh, so I get the easy question, I guess. Well, let me just begin by saying that our traditional model has really worked well for 160 plus years or so, and has served the needs of the state in really extraordinary ways. There's lots of examples I could give, but think agriculture. Think about the agricultural productivity that we see across the state of Illinois. A lot of that is driven by not only the research that we do in the University of Illinois, but also the education we provide to people who ultimately end up supporting that agricultural economy. All of that said, we must adapt to the needs of learners, and we are. We see our curriculum continuing to evolve. We're introducing new combinations of majors, new degree opportunities at all three of our universities on a regular basis. But in addition to that, we know that student expectations are changing rapidly, especially among adult learners, working professionals, and students who are seeking perhaps more flexible learning options. For that 160 plus years, our core operating model is that we have, in our case, 3 brick and mortar campuses, and we expect students to come to us for their learning experience. That works for a lot of students. It doesn't work for everybody. So in recent decades, we've expanded our offerings through online modality, which has enabled us to reach students across the state of Illinois and beyond without them having to come to one of those campuses. There are opportunities to do even more across, in particular, the state of Illinois, where there are many, many, many potential learners out there who would love to access what we offer at the University of Illinois, but they are potentially place-based and just cannot take advantage of one of those existing models. So expanding access to those students and really opening ourselves up beyond the traditional bricks and mortar approach or the rather standard online offerings is critically important. And thinking about the way we package our credentials. Right now we use semesters. I think for most people who come through our universities, they do 8 semesters of work and they earn a degree. Maybe we could package things around content rather than around time. So there are different ways to think about how we provide our educational opportunities in ways that might be more aligned with what needs are out across the state. We need also to be thinking of learning as being a lifelong opportunity, and we want to connect students, individuals to the University of Illinois early in their lives, and we want them to remain connected to us forever. that we will always be there as their partner in learning as their lives and careers evolve. And we believe that we have the capability to do that and to think in innovative and creative ways about how we can reach those populations with what they need, when they need it, and in a manner that serves them well.
Thank you, Nick. President Killeen, do you have anything to add?
Well, I agree. I think the modality of educational attainment is changing. People in jobs, the jobs may be changing too. And so people may aspire to new skills, new competencies that can move around. So upskilling and reskilling and lifelong learning is going to be part of our future. We're extremely well positioned to do that because we've got all of the disciplinary heft, we've got the multidisciplinarity, we've got the access to the modern technologies and all of the things that a major research university system brings to the table. So we really do aspire to have lifelong connections with learners, all the way through the whole pipeline or pathway from pre-K even to lifelong learning. I mean, human beings thrive if they're learning, if they have access to, if their brains are active and functioning. So I think this is an important expansion of our mission. It's not just the 4-year in and out degree graduation and then you get the request to give back. We want to believe, and we're working towards having a lifelong community of learners. And I think that's very exciting, actually, particularly with the onset of these technologies that even things like AI and the digital transformations that we're talking about, access to information, the ability to sort of study and learn across boundaries of distance and time, I think are coming of age. And University of Illinois has been a pioneer in those kinds of things for decades. But now, as the world changes, we need to embrace this future, and it's very exciting. So once you're a U of I learner, you're always a U of I learner. That's where we want to get to.
Thank you. We have time for a couple more questions. Nick, I believe this is in your office. Can you share what you are seeing around visa procurement, undergraduate and graduate international enrollment trends, and then the federal advocacy and lobbying on international student issues? Do we have an outlook for our international student enrollment in the years ahead?
Yes, that's a great question, and we're actually navigating a bit of a challenging time for those who don't know me well. You can probably tell from my accent that I once had a visa to study in the United States as a graduate student, and as did the president. And so I think you're looking at two people here who really absolutely value the opportunity that was provided to us by this great nation to study and learn and then ultimately stay and contribute. International students continue to be a vibrant part of all of our campuses, academically, culturally, and economically. And there have been challenges with some of the changes in federal actions over the past 18 months or so. We've seen some direct impacts where students simply have not been able to get visas. They've been accepted into our programs, and they have not been able to get their visa processing done so that they can attend. That's been a bit of a challenge for us. We're seeing a little bit of a headwind as a result of that in terms of our international applications. I think some students, it's a global marketplace in education, and some students are looking at the United States and they are concerned that it is a little harder to perhaps get into than it used to be from a visa standpoint. So they're pursuing other options. So we're seeing a little bit of downward pressure in our international student application pool. We hope that is a transient thing, and as people realize that they can continue to go through the process and continue to get the visas that they need, that they will continue to come. We remain very competitive but we are definitely seeing those headwinds. We are active in Washington with our legislators and with federal agencies in advocating for international students and the importance of them in our environment, and arguing strenuously about what they bring to our learning environment in positive and constructive ways. So we know that we have a lot of support in Washington with our legislators, and we're hoping to leverage that support into action to help us with some of this. Long term, it's just critically important that our university, continues to offer a welcoming environment for international students, and we hope the country will continue to do that as well, because it is important, and ultimately it's vital to innovation and economic growth, both for the state of Illinois and for the United States writ large.
Thanks, Nick. Just to piggyback on that, what are we doing to protect our students, faculty, and staff from inappropriate access of university data and records by authorities?
Let me start there and pass to Nick, maybe. Short answer, everything we can. We're committed to following the law to the letter, while protecting the rights, the privacy, and the dignity of our students and employees. So we work very hard to take care of the people who attend our universities and their families too. We follow state laws that require public colleges to keep track of interactions with immigration agents, for example. We follow all those state laws and those federal laws, but our commitment is to the people that we serve. And I just want to reinforce what Nick was saying about the role of international students. They add to the vitality. It's really important that our students are engaging with the world at large and learning from others, people who come from different backgrounds, different cultures even, because it adds such an amazing component to an education as people enter the workforce. So we value hugely our international students, and we're working hard, as Nick pointed out, on advocacy to ensure that the long track record of the United States as being open and welcoming to talent from wherever it comes continues. And a lot of wonderful people are still seeking us out, and we're going to continue embracing them, welcoming them, and protecting them, and making sure that they have all of the support they need to continue their learning journeys.
Yeah, Jennifer, I would just add, we're not alone in this. Fortunately, we are the University of Illinois, and we are in Illinois, and we have support of the state through a new state law, which in fact requires public colleges and universities like us to identify a person or department on campus to gather reports of immigration agents on campus, keep records of interactions with those agents, and notifying students if immigration agents are seeking them. It also bars universities like ours from disclosing a student or employee's immigration status unless required to by a signed warrant. So we will comply with all of these provisions, and we very much appreciate the support of the state in giving us some air cover to implement these types of actions in order to protect our students in particular, but all members of our communities.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I think we have time for two more questions, and this is a hot topic these days. And Nick, I think we could start with you. How is the University of Illinois system approaching artificial intelligence in teaching, research, and operations, and what are the core principles or rationale guiding your decisions in this area?
Right. Well, I think everybody is aware that artificial intelligence is coming at us with a vengeance, and it will transform nearly every sector of society. And universities need to be at the cutting edge of that. We need to help lead that, not only that transition, we need to lead that transition in a responsible manner and provide guidance and help in ensuring that society can adapt to these transformational changes that are coming at us. There are the practical issues of, where's all of the power going to come from to support these AI engines that are humming all over the country, and we need to think about those aspects of the AI revolution as well. One of our important, I think, principles is that people need to be at the center of all of this, not just including a human being in the loop here or there, but focusing really on what the outcomes are for people. That must drive our decision making. Jobs are going to change. We need to help people change with that. There will be jobs that don't yet even exist that will appear as a result of this transformation. So we need to be prepared for that. We need to be preparing our students for that. We're doing everything we can to responsibly integrate AI into the way we do research, the way we execute our curriculum, our operations, workforce development considerations. But we must be thoughtful about emphasizing ethics, privacy, academic integrity, and again, that all-important human-centered implementation. So I think tremendous opportunities and a lot of excitement for us, but universities like ours really need to lead in this transformation and help our societies adapt to this really exciting new technology. Tim, I'm sure you've got something to add to that.
Yeah, well, I loved your answer too, but I just to say that it's not just one of many universities taking this on. We're a very special university system that's got a track record of really utilizing, developing the kind of cutting edge technologies that's really effective societal function, from cell phones to transistors to the internet itself. And now we're looking on our professional watch at this revolution of emerging technologies. And we need not just to lead, but we need to shape the application of these technologies to support, as you said, the public good, human outcomes that make sense. And it is really exciting to be in a university system like this that has the almost perfect Venn diagram to take that leadership role up, from supercomputing, from big data applications, from AI itself in all of its domains, to now turbocharging the turbocharged with quantum communications and quantum computing as well, which is coming rapidly of age, that we're centrally involved in. I think we have really an important role. And frankly, the public sector, exemplified by ourselves, needs to sort of take center stage in this brave new world of technologies, so that, and as you pointed out, some jobs will go away, but there are going to be modalities of whole new employment opportunities that come about when we can combine, for example, understanding of the planet and understanding of healthcare delivery and understanding of resource constraints and materials. That's going to lead to opportunities that our students are going to be extremely well prepared for, and that will benefit society. So we've got our work cut out. We can roll our sleeves up, but we've got the right talent and we've got the right setting.
Well, thank you both. So we have a good question to end on for President Killeen. You have led the University of Illinois system for many years through significant change. What keeps you energized and going strong, and how do you sustain that sense of purpose over time?
Oh, that's quite a question. Thank you for the question. Many years, years go by fast as you get older. Yes, but on Monday it'll be 11 years. That's my anniversary. So, the mission. The work is demanding and challenging, let's face it. These aren't easy, simplistic times with all of the advocacy and the complexity of modern society and the role. But the mission is really deeply important. And I know Nick shares this, you share this, Jennifer. We're like committed to the mission of public, excellent higher education with integrity, with effective use of resources and outcomes that are meaningful for society. So I can't imagine, um, not working hard on that. And you wake up in the morning and that's okay, let's make it even better. And the fact that we have 900,000 living alumni, almost a million, it'll get there. And we're just graduating this year, another 28,000 students. And we watch what happens with them, and they participate at all levels of society. And you go to a commencement and you see the impact not just on the graduating student who's worked very hard to get there and has gone through, ups and downs, but you see their families transform too. So it's an exhilarating profession. Let me put it that way. And it's a great honor for me personally, to be in this role. And I can just promise everybody that I'm going to do my best on it. But students are the greatest source of motivation. As I said earlier, it's about the students, and we owe it to our own families and the communities in which we live to make sure that we do the very best we can with the resources we have at hand while complying with all the provisions and all the complexity of modern life, but leading the charge of generating and creating, co-designing really a future that is worthy of our students and I've got grandkids now, grandkids, etc. So I'm plenty motivated. Little coffee helps keep going, I have to admit. But thank you for the question, and keep watching.
Well, thank you. I think it's time to wrap up now. This has been a really fun conversation. I want to thank you, President Killeen and Executive Vice President Jones, for your leadership and for your presentation and discussion today. I also want to thank everyone who joined us today to stay informed and involved in these important conversations. Your advocacy and support for the University of Illinois system truly makes a difference. As we continue these efforts, I also encourage everyone to stay connected through Illinois Connection. I hope you grab that QR code from President Killeen's presentation. This is our grassroots advocacy network that helps keep supporters informed and engaged on important issues impacting the university and all of higher education across the state. If you are not currently a member of Illinois Connection, please sign up. And we will continue to provide updates as legislative discussions move forward. We appreciate your continued partnership and engagement on behalf of our students, universities, and the state of Illinois. So thank you all again for joining us today, and have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you.